say this is a loving rebuke because we're told in the scriptures very clearly that Martha, Mary, and Lazarus, these siblings, this family was loved by Christ. It's explicitly stated in the scriptures that they were loved by Christ. Their home was an oasis for him in his travels, so near to Jerusalem, and they would come and they would often entertain him and welcome him. Now, uno tiene confianza. When you know somebody and when you love them in that same way, uno tiene confianza. And you know what I love about this scripture is that even Martha's faults, which we read about clearly in the gospel, will serve to advance the gospel. You can only do that with friends. The way you joke about your friends' little idiosyncrasies and faults, the way uno tiene tanta confianza que you can be honest with them about it, like, Marta, ya. With one's spouse, one's children, para de molestarme ya. Jesus obviously is not impatiently saying that, but it's a loving rebuke, and I love that it's recorded in the gospel. And that's why I say that Martha usually has a bad rap. You know, we see this episode in her life as being, she was a woman of faith and of love, a woman who served the Lord. But as one spiritual writer will talk about, there is a primacy of contemplation. There is a primacy of contemplation. Now, men, more so than women, are guilty of overactivity. Men are project-oriented. Women tend to be more relationally oriented. And so I feel that men can become more like Martha than Mary. There's kind of this energy and this doing. And here Martha has a lesson for us as men. Or rather, the Lord has a message to us through Martha. Because there are many things. It's an endless bucket of things to be anxious and worried and burdened about. And we can quickly see or say, why not this person help me? Why aren't we doing more? Why not do more? As if activity for activity's sake were what we were all for. It's interesting to note that Mother Teresa, the sisters, have a period of prayer, a dedicated period of prayer, and when they serve the poor as well, she would never allow them to skimp their time of prayer for the service of the poor. And the needs were great. She would never, because those nuns are not social workers. They're nuns. And their apostolic activity must be from the fruit of prayer. Otherwise, they're social workers and the church is an NGO. The church is not an NGO. And you and I, as disciples of Christ, are not social workers merely to do his work. God doesn't need our work, he needs us. This is the grand lesson of Mary and Martha. Martha wanted to serve the Lord, and it was an honorable desire. But he taught her that her work was secondary. He wanted her. He wanted to be with her. They were friends. Cuando uno está con un amigo, no importa tanto lo que uno hace, importa que uno está con ese amigo. El compartir. Pueden ver una película, salen a hacer un proyecto, salen a caminar, sea lo que sea. Lo importante es que uno está compartiendo con ese amigo. Y pues es lo mismo con Dios. Nosotros como hombres a veces estamos muy como ya, nos sentimos ansiosos de hacer, pero el Señor nos pide ser, no tanto hacer. Y por eso, entrar en ese estado de contemplación, de simplemente estar con el Señor es suficiente. The most important thing, you're worried about and anxious about many things, como as if all our activity could solve it all. Mary's chosen the better part. Not only did she welcome the Lord into her home, compartió con él. No simplemente lo sirvió. He loved her person, and he loves us, whether we can do a lot or a little. Our service is secondary. Children don't have to do much to please their parents. They simply are. An infant doesn't do much but poop, eat, and cry. And yet how doting parents are with those children, because their person is enough. They don't have to know. You love them for who they are, not simply for what they can do for me. God is a loving Father, and he loves his kids. And in the grand scheme of things, there's very little we can actually do. Our activity is limited. God's activity is limitless. And therefore, we are asked to return to a primacy of contemplation, of being with the Lord. Discipleship is for the sake of being with, for the sake of, pun intended, or not really pun intended, but for the sake of communion. Unión con. No, it's for the sake of being with. Unión con. Not so much I have to do something for God. We may be anxious and worried about many things, but in this Mass, the Lord is asking us to return to the one thing necessary, unión con. Being with. Y es suficiente.